own brand off the ground in the craft beer game. And is this kind of a threat to you guys being an upstart? You know, I think for me, looking at in the article that I read on it, the guy was like, look, it's a lengthy process. You know, it's still not as simple as microwave popcorn. Yeah. So if you're not into all of that, you might just want to head out and get yourself a 6-pack or a growler. So it's probably not going to be my thing, but I think for the enthusiasts that are at home doing that, it's a good look that you have this. It seems like a very streamlined process.
Yeah, I actually haven't talked to Jared about it. Like, he's our brewmaster. He's been brewing for over 10 years now. He probably will have a certain opinion about it. I assume people who like literally blood, sweat, and tears. They're like, I'm like a 9-to-5er in the brew. Like, I just pop in. Like, oh, what are we doing? I need to stir this mash. Okay,
right.
Like, I'm nowhere near as involved in that side of the process. But I don't think it's a threat, because at the end of the day, the quantities that you'll be making with these appliances will be much, much smaller. Like, it'll be for single use. Like, you're not gonna make a 6-barrel or even a half a keg on these products.
The lady in the video is referring to this cylindrical unit as a keg, but it might have had a diameter of maybe a little over 12 inches, and it was probably 3.5 feet tall or something.
I mean, that sounds like a 6-barrel. So this is why I don't think it's gonna hit anybody that's actually brewing, because the system itself is already costing you $2,000.
Right.
In order to get the supplies, particularly some of these hop varieties, because they are proprietary blends that you can only get from certain people or from certain areas and whatnot, this is not going to be cheap. This process is going to get expensive for somebody who is just trying to do it as a casual drinker. And if somebody is more of an actual, I don't necessarily want to say professional brewer, but a more serious brewer, they're going to want to get their own rig and setup anyway. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think that to that degree the market's cross. I don't think it'll step on anybody.
Well, that's good. You know, like I said, I probably wouldn't be in the market for it, but the machine looks neat as far as fitting in. I think it was a stainless steel unit. Yeah. It looks pretty neat. It looks like, you know, they have a great product for those that are interested in it. Wow, like I said, I just thought I'd bring it up because we do try to hit on some different craft beer topics. So with that said, you know, we kind of running behind a little bit. So we had a couple of segments that we'll get in, new segments that we're toying around with. One being the starting five, which are some rapid fire questions for me, and then this week I'm gonna work in something I'm playing around with called Primetime or Pine. I'm gonna run a couple of A/B choices at G and see who would be the starter and who would be a backup. But the name of that's gonna be Primetime or Pine. But go ahead, G. You can get into your starting five for the week.
All right, starting five in not so particular of an order. Rick Carlisle, Mavs, 5 years, $35 million. Worth it?
I'm a little shocked at Cuban on that one, because Carlisle might be mid-60s? Early 60s.
Early.
Just where the team is right now, I think Parsons isn't really back yet.
He's going to be on a limited restriction. He played a couple days ago.
Maybe not too many more years of Dirk. Definitely not years where Dirk is the central, point of the team, not the focal point of the team. It shocked me a little bit, but I think, that's a good relationship between owner and coach, and it's kind of expected.
All right. And there are rumors that Mario Chalmers is on the block. Particularly, the heavy conversation point has been with the Memphis Grizzlies. Perhaps for a straight-up trade with Beno Udrih. That side of it's unknown. How you feel about that?
That's a guy that's had to fight. He's like Oprah from The Color Purple. I've had to fight every day of my life to keep my job, and he sealed that first title for them, I believe, in Miami. He had mid-20s, 25 points that game or something. In
they left him open that game.
Yeah, anybody knocked him down, just like Avery did years ago for the Spurs. It doesn't really it wouldn't really strengthen Memphis, in my opinion. It wouldn't help that 50-point deficit that they got beat with the other night.
Golden State,
from Golden State.
Yeah, I guess Tyler Johnson is a guy that they feel highly about in Miami. I didn't even know who he was until the night before. I
just saw him catch an alley-oop last night on a backdoor play.
Yeah, so I don't think Chalmers is anywhere near the playmaker that Beno Udrih is, but whatever.
Sometimes they got to tinker around with stuff just to do it. But it sounds like they're having problems with the love affair of Goran and in the Miami Heat in general. So maybe they want to hold on to Mr. Chalmers.
That was something I had toyed around with too. Maybe we'll see how this goes. We'll see how quick we get through this. Maybe I have a 6-man for you. But Luke Walton as a head coach, because rumors now are Steve Kerr might be out until at least All-Star break, if not longer, recovering from this back injury and spinal fluid leakage.
That's interesting. I was going to add, I left that off of our talking points for the night, but there's still some sentiments out there that this is still Mark Jackson's team. Well, I don't know where you stand on that, but now Kerr might be out of the picture indefinitely, and now it's where things are running smoothly for Luke. Luke would be in line for a job next year somewhere. I wouldn't say New York or maybe Sacramento if things don't go well between that bunch down there. I think it's a good look for Luke. One thing about Luke, man, I think if you look back during the heyday when he was involved in the championship team, he may not have been second or third option, but he played his role well.
A real smart basketball player.
Right.
All right, moving on.
Won a championship as a Wildcat too, right?
Yeah.
So
he was part of he got at least 2 of those 3 with the Lakers.
Right. So he's a winner.
Yeah. All right. NBA to feature Kia ad/patch on 16-17 All-Star Game jerseys. How you feel about that?
That's a good look. I mean, they've been a good partner to the NBA. They obviously let Griffin go out there and jump over one, partially jump over one across the quarter of the quarter panel of the car. But and then LeBron is jumping around. Cruising around in one, and Griffin knowing that these guys do not drive Kias, so that's always been a interesting relationship. Salute to Kia for pushing the brand forward.
Any fear that the NBA will turn into the WNBA and we'll see large logos that almost make you question who is actually owning the team?
I don't foresee that happening, and I don't foresee the second Superman movie having a logo on there. So I don't think they'll cheapen it out like that. But I think for your major partners, it's a pretty good look. It's just one night, and it's not a real game anyway.
True. All right, and 10 notable fourth-year players did not sign, and in some cases did not get offered new contracts or extensions. Namely, Harrison Barnes, Bradley Beal, Andre Drummond, list goes on. Do you think this could be a trend, or do you think it has anything to do with the amount of money that is possible to them in free agency now, or do you just think that it's teams trying to wait things out?
I think it's obviously the most political answer is that it's a combination of all of those. But I just think for right now, with the new deal, the new TV deal that kicks in next year, these guys have to be very intelligent about how they navigate that decision, how they go about making that decision, because not everybody. We see now with Wade being upset that he took these pay cuts during the LeBron era, and now he's trying to make up for $14 to $20 million that he left on the table. So I think it's good. It's good business on both sides. And obviously we had a discussion last week with Harrison Barnes. He's a guy that, out of everybody in that list, has a lot of stuff to weigh, because he's looking at continuing to be a role player of sorts on a championship caliber team, all-time championship caliber team, versus going and trying to find his own glory. So I think it's a good look for all parties, and it's good to have some extenuating circumstances out here that makes the NBA, the talent, get dispersed a lot more evenly, or spread that competition around to bring about some parity. So you gonna get your 6 men in?
Since we ran through that pretty quick, just kind of in relation to what we talked about earlier with Memphis, Dave Yeager is reportedly on the hot seat after a 3-3 start. Fair, not fair?
Now, I'm sorry, man. Is that the coach or the GM?
That's the head coach, yeah.
Because they just got rid of Hollins, right?
Hollins was gone.
It was 2 years ago.
Right. This is Yeager's second. This is his second. This will be his second full year. He took over around mid-season for Hollins 3 years ago.
Gotcha. I think the team is letting them down right now, because it's inexcusable for a team. But they still haven't addressed having shooters.
Right.
So
they still can't space the floor.
Yeah, they can't space the floor. Zebo is not a regular season guy. He's not going to beat you down.
He's old now.
Yeah,
by NBA
he's
standards.
a year older. And they're just challenged. I mean, and when you have all the shooters that you have in the West, that's going to result in your coach being on the hot seat by a team that's more of a, similar to the Kansas City Royals. They're a run manufacturing team where it works in baseball, but in basketball, you got to be able to stretch that floor. You got to be able to multiply, add, do addition by threes. I'm sorry, that's just how it goes.
All right, that's it.
So I'm gonna fire it back at you, man, with my prime time or pine. Before we get into our basketball talk for the night, so try to run through these really quick as I pull up my list. So basically, prime time or pine, would you start this person, or would this be somebody coming off? Which one would be a part of your second unit? Which one would be out there clapping hands, getting ready for the tip off? Jason Bourne or James Bond? Prime time or pine?
James Bond in general, or a particular James Bond?
Let's do the more recent Bonds.
Okay.
I know
so Daniel Craig?
Yeah, let's stick with his.
Daniel Craig or I can't think of it. Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. We can exclude Jeremy Renner.
Yeah. I'm gonna say Bourne because some of the initial Bourne Identity, there's a fight scene with him where a guy comes after him and he's got a knife and they're in like an apartment. That's like a really good choreograph. Like he looked like that dude during that fight scene. Was
that with the Middle Eastern looking guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, when he jumped through the window, kind of at the weird angle.
Yeah.
Bourne.
Like I don't see James Bond is slick. He's cool. He got a lot of gadgets, but he don't get hand to hand. He don't get in there and get dirty.
Gotcha.
So I'm gonna give it to Bourne.
Okay. Prime time or pine, Illmatic or It Was Written?
Hey, you gave me a little preview of that one beforehand. I've been thinking about it. That's real tough.
That's a tough one.
I think me personally, I gotta go with Illmatic just because I was kind of young when that first came out, and it kind of sat with me, and then I'm in the minority that actually thinks Stillmatic was a good album. Like I thought that rehashed some of the stuff. Yeah, it gave me some of that feeling. So
I'm with you in that regard.